Good to be here.
That's it, man. It's happening. It's happening.
Thanks for having me, man.
Man, I'm happy to have you. I really am. I mean, we go way back. Back to 2011, 2010. I don't even remember. All I remember this morning when I was getting ready for this
It's even before that. Probably 2009, 2010.
Is that when Peeta started?
Yeah, we started 2000, or like, we start to gain momentum early 2009.
Okay. So here's what I was remembering this morning as I was getting ready for this. I remember getting a few messages from friends telling me that there's this new place called Peeta, and we really have to try it because they have insane salads. Now, when somebody tells me a place has insane salads, that is the last place I want to try.
Especially for a place that specializes in shawarma.
Well, I didn't know. You were a shawarma place. And then sort of you started gaining momentum online. And I remember, yes, I was in TBWA back then. This was like 2009. And then sort of like suddenly you guys exploded. And everybody was talking about Peeta. And I was like, again, what is this salad place that everybody is talking about? And I realized that it was actually the shawarma place. And my love for shawarma is on par with my love with my family. I mean, you know what I mean? It's serious business.
There's God and there's shawarma.
That's pretty much.
That's your priority.
And then my family's somewhere there at the bottom, you know? So my love for shawarma is real, you know? So I had to test it out. Yeah. And I remember you were talking about you guys were talking about the evolution of shawarma and all that good stuff. And then there's a healthy aspect to it. And I had to go and try it out. And I remember you had that place in Healthcare City, which was the legendary spot that everybody started going to. And yeah, and it was magic, man. It was just magic. I absolutely loved it. And I know until today I hound you on social media telling you how much I loved your shawarma. And yeah, you just sort of exploded, man. So I think it's a good place to start here is you are the man that sort of created, well, you and your brother sort of like masterminded this thing, and it became a sensation, and it became this, you know, shawarma mania in Dubai when you guys started this thing. So, you know, how did that start? I mean, or maybe like just tell us a little bit about who you, like yourself, and then like how did that thing start, man?
I think just like sitting here and listening to you like tell the story of Peeta kind of says it all, you know, because I think a great sign of how good of a movement or brand you created is when the community like sells it for you,
right?
You know, and tells the story in such a personal way, you know. And I think that was it wasn't something that we set out to do. So we didn't say we want to create this movement. We didn't say we want to create, you know, a pioneer in social media marketing. That kind of happened. All we wanted to do was make this crazy idea happen. Okay?
Right.
And the idea was around us growing up eating shawarmas like every other day, as one does in the Middle East, if you're a fan of shawarmas. You know, and you're asking a question, why hasn't it evolved? You know, why hasn't it evolved past the tahina sauce?
Right.
And the garlic mayo sauce, right? And then chicken and beef, right?
Yeah.
So and then we're like, you know, what if, you know, how would we evolve it? You know, what does that even mean? So we came up with these ideas of like, why not a Thai shawarma? So instead of like tahina and garlic mayo, a Thai sauce, or what about an Italian white sauce or a red sauce? Or you know, what about a Mexican sauce? And so forth, right?
There was a Moroccan one as well, wasn't there? What's a red one? What was that red one?
It was there was an Indian one.
So that's the
chicken.
one, the Indian one. That was good. Okay, sorry, go on.
So that was the makhni sauce, we used to call it.
Oh my lord, yeah.
So and the other challenge was that the shawarma is so, I think, beautiful because of its simplicity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just bread. It's just like maybe one or two vegetables. It's a sauce, and it's just meat, and it's small, and you eat it. It's not complex. It's easy. You know.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to hide.
Yeah.
You know, you can't. You know, if you make a bad shawarma, it's obvious. You know, there's very little to hide behind. So for us, it was also about, you know, how can we make it more substantial? Can we improve the bread? You know, like for example, whole wheat bread. And we had all these crazy ideas of quinoa bread and whatnot. But this is 2009. This is before it exploded into hipsterdism.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So and then also we looked at, again, making it more substantial, adding more vegetables to it, so that when you eat it, it's like a proper meal. It's a
Right.
balanced meal. So we were quite obsessed with that. So it had to be healthy, it had to be nutritious, it had to be exciting.
I remember
it had
that,
to
yeah.
evolve. So that was the idea. And a lot of people don't know this, but that idea, we were building it and we were seeking support and investment for about 7 years before 2008.
Wow.
So it started in 2000, so 2000, 2001. And we kind of never gave up,
Right.
and obviously we were turned down a lot.
Right.
By banks, by friends, so nobody, it was a cool idea, but when it came down to it, nobody wanted to invest in this crazy idea.
Right.
And we took on probably the most famous, food in the entire Middle East, and we're telling people we're gonna change it,
And we're gonna charge an extra amount of money over it.
Right, So, and we're gonna make it better, and that's already why would you do that?
Right.
You know what I mean? So, so to us, we're like, this has a lot of potential, and we're not gonna let go. And in 2008, we were still working with international companies, so corporations. I'd worked with 3 by then, so it was Philips in the medical industry, it was British American Tobacco in tobacco, and it was also Beiersdorf, the
So
Nivea.
that was your full-time
That was my
sort of
full-time
job.
job, right?
Okay.
And I did that for over a decade.
Okay.
And my brother had already been in Master Foods, and he was in Pepsi, and he just joined the RTA and so forth. So we were seasoned corporate guys.
Right.
So we had worked with some of the most powerful brands in the world, and that taught me a lot. And I worked with, I think, some of the most amazing managers in the world. I was really lucky to have that. So we took all of that confidence and that experience. And in 2008, just a chance visit to the Dubai SME,
All right.
which it's called Dubai SME today. And we wanted to start a small marketing company.
Okay.
So my brother and I were like, you know what, let's start a little something, get some passive income, and see what's up. And when we're there, the person that was registering our license, our marketing company, asked us a question. She asked, what is it that you guys want to do? Is there anything else that you guys want to do? What do you guys love? And we're like, actually, we have this idea.
Now that you ask, so I'm gonna throw it out there. We've been trying for 7 years.
Right.
So, here you go.
But we're like, you know what? Let's just start this marketing company instead. so and we told her about this crazy idea about the evolution of a shawarma. And she was a Filipina lady, and she, her responsibility was to take the registration papers and process it, right? And she said, do you guys want to come in tomorrow and present your idea? Do you have something to present? We're like, dude, we have 7 years worth of presentations. Of course we have something to present. We had financial analyses, we had presentations, because that's all you did in the corporate world. You sat in meetings, and you did presentations, and you filled up spreadsheets.
That's like, yeah.
Yeah. You never met customers, So we're like, yeah, we got a few things to show. And we did. We had a complete business plan. We had a financial analysis. We had the logo. We had everything. We had 3D renders of what the place looked like. We had everything. So we came in the next day, and it was a meeting with the CFO, Chief Financial Officer of Dubai SME, Manoj Nakra.
Okay.
And he's a super sharp guy. I'd never met him before, and he was asking, we presented to him, and he had this poker face on, and he was asking us these questions, and luckily we had answers to them.
Okay.
And he's like, all right.
7 years worth of answers, man. Yeah.
So, yeah, practice, kids, practice.
Just keep going.
Trust me, one day it'll happen.
Don't give up. That's what it is.
You'll be ready. So he asked us to come in a couple of days and present to the board. And when we came in, it was Abdul Basit Al-Janahi, who was the CEO, chairman of Dubai SME, and his whole team. Manoj Nakra was there as well. And we presented to them, and they asked us a ton of questions, and this and that, and blah, blah, blah. And, again, lots of poker faces, and we didn't know what was going to happen, honestly. We didn't know whether they're going to invest in us or not. We didn't even hear the word investment. it was just an opportunity for us to do this. We're
Right.
like, you know what? If somebody asks us, we're gonna do it. We're gonna present.
Right.
And a few days later, we got a message saying we love your idea and we'd like to fund something like 60% of it.
Okay.
And you guys put in the rest of the money. And we couldn't believe it. Like, you know, when you have this
Wow.
dream, okay, you know, this dream is perfect. But it's also, it's intangible and nobody can tarnish it. It's in your mind, it's perfect. And when you're having low days, you always have your dream to fall back on, right?
Right, yeah.
It's like perfect.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. You know, I'll just keep on going. You know, life is gonna be good.
Yeah.
And then the day your dream becomes a reality is actually scary,
Right.
right? Because it's like now all the things that you thought, all the things that you want it to be, you have to make it happen now.
Right. Yeah.
But then if your dream becomes reality, what do you fall back on if it fails?
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so this
That's a heavy thought to deal with.
seriously,
Yeah.
seriously, and just for it might have taken like a couple of hours of like, I cannot believe this shit is happening.
Yeah.
You know, and we're like, okay, let's do it. So within 7 years, after 7 years, within a few days, we got this opportunity. And that was in 2008. So we rushed basically to put this whole thing together, you know,
So,
establishing the company.
did you have a place in mind, or was it just like you guys went in and like, here's our budget for a place? Or
Well, initially we thought about malls, but
Okay.
we quickly found out that it was way too expensive. You know,
Right.
there's no way we can afford that. So we didn't have a place. And, you know, we kind of took, we weren't ready.
Right.
We weren't ready. You know, so all of a sudden somebody's like, here's the money, now start. We're like,
Right.
holy crap.
shit, what do I do with my job? Exactly. What do I
You know, we have like, what do we tell our families? You know, my mom, my dad, like, you know, so all
I'm
this
quitting my job at this
Yeah.
really good company to start a shawarma shop. Are you crazy?
right, which is exactly what happened. So then we had to get ready, and you know, it takes a hell of a lot of time to start a business. You know, it's
Right.
not like, well, especially in the UAE, it's not like, hey, I want to start a business and it happens.
Right, yeah.
You know, so we had to start thinking about licenses and partnership agreements, and you know, and how will this fund like get transferred to our account? And now we had to raise like 40% of it. There's a million things. Where do we get staff from? How do we get staff? What the hell's a visa?
Holy
You know, all these things that you have to like, you know, it's like a dream is one thing, but once you like bring it into reality, you have to manage everything. You have to do everything yourself, especially as a small business.
Yeah.
So it took us so we started in 2008. We expected to launch in Feb 2009. We launched in October 2009.
Okay.
Because
All right.
frankly, nothing prepares you for being a small business.
Right. Okay.
Absolutely nothing. So we thought, you know, we're like these corporate guys, decade plus worth of experience. You know, we're gonna smash this.
Right.
It
Yeah.
smashed us.
Okay. Wow.
Right. So everything took longer than expected. Everything was more expensive, and we realized we knew nothing.
Right.
You know, there were some skills and competencies that we had, but we really knew nothing about being a startup. You know?
Right.
Because everything, when you're working, everything's done for you.
Yeah.
You know, you don't go and, you know, do your visas, or, you know, you don't go and, you know, do all these, like, pay the rent of your office. You know, you don't pay the electricity bills and the water bills and the internet bills, and, you know, you don't do all those things. You kind of
Right.
get those things done for you.
Right.
And you get your salary.
And you guys just, what's interesting about this is that October 2009, it was just around the time that Twitter started, you know, exploding, if you will. I mean, in the Middle East at least. I mean,
Yeah.
between 2009 2010, that's when Twitter started becoming very relevant. A lot of people started getting on board. And I think you were maybe one of the first, of course, startups, but also brands that, you know, harnessed the power of social media, namely Twitter. And I think it was you who was handling the Peeta account, right? It was just you personally. Is that correct? Or?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were, a lot of things happened that kind of made the universe kind of align for us, I guess. One was it was like the world was in recession.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Right?
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
So
yeah.
we actually launched Peeta on the back of a global recession.
Right.
So everything was just going south. You know, people were leaving the country, and around the world people were losing jobs, and we're like,
It was a tough time, yeah.
let's start Wild Peeta. You know,
Sounds like the right time to do it.
but it is. It's if you look at statistics, it's during those times, you know, the hardships that people actually start up their own businesses.
Sure.
You know, so yes, Twitter. I think they opened it up at the beginning of 2009, and by October we gained a lot of momentum. And the funny thing is, we already had a massive following and community before we even opened the doors to Wild Peeta.
Right.
Before October.
And is that due to Twitter, or
it was
it's just like networks? Or?
well, you know, we have this philosophy about building like a community around our brand.
Yeah.
And inviting our community in to make decisions with us.
Right.
And it was a very radical idea. So this is again 2009. Today it's like very commonplace, right?
Right.
And it doesn't happen overnight. You know, obviously you have to gain the trust of your community. You have to be sincere, and they have to feel like, you know, they're not being used. And certainly we were not doing that. We were just being honest.
Yeah.
We went on Twitter and we said, we're two Emirati brothers, and we have this crazy idea to evolve the shawarma, and we don't know what the fuck to do.
Yeah.
Can you help us, please?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden you had thousands of people, you know, from different backgrounds, from different places around the world, with different experiences and skills and competencies, being our virtual board members.
Right.
That's what we called it
Yeah.
back then, right? And so if I didn't know, you know, what sort of furniture to put in our restaurant, or how to paint the walls and which colors, what menu items were good and what were not, and what should we price at, all we did was go on Twitter and ask, and
Right.
people would like honestly tell us. And we really created this environment of be honest with us, be brutally honest with us. And it was really cool because people would like actually want to get on Twitter and just tell us what they thought.
Right.
Which was like, you know, and criticize us, and also but tell us when we succeeded and whatnot, which can be very uncomfortable, I think, for a lot of people.
Right.
I loved it.
Right.
You know, because if you think about it, companies pay millions of dollars to market research companies to speak to their customers, to ask them how can we improve, and all of a sudden this is happening proactively.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
people
And there's no barrier between you or your people. Yeah.
whatsoever. So I guess we pioneered social media marketing at that time in 2009, and I'm the sort of guy, I'm a recovering ADD guy.
Okay.
You know, so I like to just jump into things, try new things. You know, if it succeeds, it succeeds. If it fails, I learn from it. So we were doing a lot of crazy stuff on all these different platforms back then. And by the end of 2009, we became this social media sensation brand that created this crazy movement. Like,
Right.
we didn't even own Wild Peeta anymore.
Right.
Like, I'd rock up to work and there's a party happening at Wild Peeta that I didn't know about because the community organized it. There's like gaming events, there's charities happening, it's like ridiculous.
I remember it was very much a community space. It became a community space at some point, and it became a go-to place as well. You know, you're bored, you don't have nothing to do, you just go to Wild Peeta, and you're more likely to meet people that you haven't seen in years, or just make a new friend. And I think that's what made it very special, you know what I mean? And you do all of this over that fantastic shawarma, you know what I mean? And it's just sitting there, and that's what fantastic. And that's the shot that you guys had in the first location in Healthcare City. I think that was a great place because it was small. And sort of, it was like a hidden gem for all of us. You know, we know each other from Twitter, and I've seen your handle on Twitter, and I've seen you mention Wild Peeta at some stage. So it was kind of like a tweet up every day at
We
Wild
call
Peeta.
it an offline social network.
It was though, you know what I mean? Like that's exactly what it was. Absolutely.
Yeah, and we kind of like embraced that. And I don't know if you remember the thought wall.
Yes, of
Right?
course, yeah.
So the thought wall was, our version of your Twitter or Facebook thread.
Yeah.
Where people could come in and put their thoughts on that wall, and somebody could reply to it, and people would connect, and it was basically a large glass window
Right.
Yeah, so from ceiling to floor, wall to wall, giant, and we gave people like erasable markers to write whatever they thought on those
Right.
walls, and
Yeah.
then add their Twitter handles.
Right.
And people would connect. People would like leave messages for one another. There'd be schedules up there on in terms of Tuesday night is game night.
Right.
You know, Wednesday this
Yeah.
thing is happening, and we were not in control of that, and we would not erase it.
That's awesome, man.
You could do whatever you want. So we let the community regulate that whole thing.
Right. That was incredible. So my question is, so you had such a great start, and I remember at some point you were approached to also start in a mall somewhere, and that's just a year into your operation, right? So that's sort of like it grew so rapidly. When you look back at it, do you feel that was a good thing, or were you like, shit, we went really fast, we need to like slow our horse, you know what I mean? Like, we need to slow down. Like, what do you think now in retrospect that you look at it?
In retrospect, you know, I think, let me just turn off this phone over here.
Yeah, man, this is good. This is a...
Please pardon me, listeners. I should have done this much earlier. Okay.
He's got a Samsung Galaxy. All right.
No, I don't.
Oh, Nexus.
Yes, soon to be Pixel.
You need to get on the Pixel, man. It's a great phone.
Fantastic phone. So I feel that there is this sense of urgency, you know, that people impose on startups, which is scale as fast as possible.
Right.
You know, and coming from the corporate world, it was the same. It was like all about growth. So whatever it takes, you know, by any means. But in hindsight, that is not a good strategy. Yeah, because you're a startup, you have limited resources, you have limited funds, and you need to, and you're gonna make a crap load of mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
You like guaranteed you're gonna make a shitload of mistakes. And so what you want to do is you want to minimize the cost of those mistakes. Okay, and the way to do that is actually slow growth. Okay. So don't scale. Do unscalable things.
Right.
Okay, and do that for at least 3 years. Okay, and then review everything that you've done and progressively grow for another 3 years. So I have this thing about 6 years. If you can make it 6 years, you know, that says a lot. So first milestone is 3 years. Next milestone is 6 years, and then the next one is 12 years. Okay, and the goal is to get from 0 to 12 slow.
Okay.
I know. Like people are like, what? I can't do this for 12 years, and slow, you know, and.
That's interesting.
But here's the thing: if you feel that way, you shouldn't be a startup. You shouldn't be a small business. And obviously, I mean, this actually does apply to every business, I think. So whether you're a tech business or whether you're a bricks and mortar business, and when I say slow growth, I don't mean don't be super profitable.
Right.
I don't mean don't go after like huge sales opportunities. I mean your operation.
Right.
You know?
Be lean.
Be lean, absolutely. Yeah. And going back to your question, what we did was we scaled to multiple stores. So we scaled our operation so fast within just a couple of years that we already were trying to get to grips of managing one operation, one outlet, and all of a sudden we multiplied by 2 or 3.
Right.
Right? So that's 3 times the staff. That's 3 times the complexity in terms of operating. You know, that's 3 times our manufacturing possibility. That's 3 times the funds that we needed. That's 3 times everything. And that was something that really hurt us.
Right.
You know, so, and at the end of the day, it also distracted us from, you know, the reason why we started this in the first place, which was to make the best fucking shawarmas in the world.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's super interesting to hear you talk about it now in retrospect. Because I remember when we used to have these discussions, we used to pop into Peeta and find you there, and you'd look very stressed out, you know, and I'd tell you what's going on, and you would tell me about the difficulties of running multiple outlets at the same time, and it's very interesting that you would say this, because this is very consistent to what you've been telling me 5 years ago. If you have to do whatever you got to do, don't scale quick. And I find that to be a very interesting concept, because I'm listening to a podcast called Masters of Scale. And it's all about how you can scale your business and how fast and when you should be scaling your business. And it's interesting to hear your perspective about it. And I like the 3-year intervals. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I definitely think, I don't know if you've heard of that book, The Lean Startup.
Heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, so the whole thing is about start as lean as you can. Don't spend money where you don't need to be spending money. If you could sort of get away with hacks, then sort of do that. And it's interesting to see you echoing that from a person who came from that background. You know what I mean? That's very interesting.
Totally. And again, this was 2009, and there wasn't a lot of resource back then that I could kind of like go to and read things like that. So and obviously we had investors, and our investors were pushing us to grow. And we were two guys that succeeded very quickly.
Right.
And
well, you were plastered on every poster in the UAE. You were in TED Talks. What was it? What did you guys do? You think? Yeah, you were. Yeah.
So I mean, we were on CNN and BBC and Financial Times.
Right.
Universities in Denmark and Egypt were like writing stories about us to add to their textbooks. These guys doing this thing with social media marketing, and
right.
And we're invited to speak around the world with like President Barack Obama's social media
right.
directors, and we're meeting presidents of the world, president of the United
States.
Well,
I want to get to that.
It's like it was like crazy, and all of a sudden, we people were offering money to us, and they're like, look, I want to be part of this, I want to here you go. And the other thing that we did was when you're scaling that fast, and you have that much cash, you're going to use cash to solve your problems rather than your brain.
Right. Just throw money at the problem.
Right.
And try to put those band-aid solutions.
Right, absolutely.
So sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, so I mean, those are the challenges basically of scaling fast. So and scaling is so I'm not saying don't scale. I'm saying scale smart, or as you said, scale lean.
So when did it dawn on you guys that fuck, man, we need to close this down? Like we can't do this anymore. Like it must have been we're talking about 7 years of you building this dream, and this dream finally became a reality. And then you did this dream, and it exploded. It became this sensation. It became huge, and especially in Dubai, you can't go anywhere without hearing about Wild Peeta and how Wild Peeta was insane, it was good. And then suddenly you had these groups of likers, lovers, haters. It was just such a thriving community. Yeah. And then you reach to a point, like, it's such a dramatic, 2 years of dramatic changes. How do you reach a point where you sit with your brother and you say, I think we gotta close shop, we gotta fold this thing?
Yeah.
How did you get to that?
Well, looking back, Wild Peeta, I think inspired like that whole era, whether we inspired startups or whether we inspired agencies in their social media, strategies, or we inspired this new wave of social media marketing, that was happening at that time. We were doing like crazy stuff, and people who came to Wild Peeta would put a smile on their face. Like if you walked into Wild Peeta, we'd have a giant projector in the restaurant that would be broadcasting live tweets of what people thought about Wild Peeta. So literally, you'd walk in, buy a shawarma, if it sucked, you tweeted it, it would be on our walls for everybody else to see.
I remember that.
Right?
Yeah.
So for us, it was, we embraced transparency because we felt it would make us better, and it did. So my staff, when they saw that on the wall, their eyes would be on that wall. We called it the tweet wall.
I remember, yeah.
So their eyes would be on that wall, and as soon as they'd see, like, oh my God, somebody's not happy, they would approach that person and say, I'm sorry, did we do something wrong? Can we fix it?
Right, yeah.
So we do crazy stuff like that, which was like revolutionary, like, it was insane. And when we came to that moment where we're like, you know what, we built this Frankenstein, and it's out of control. and I don't know whether we're ready to, to make things better, right? So we were losing a lot of money because we had scaled so fast and our burn rate was so high, and we were just spread so thin because it was just my brother and I,
right?
That there was absolutely no way that we can fix this. And a couple of years, a year or so before we shut down, or a year and a half, let's say, we made a conscious decision to scale down.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, look, we have to go back to what Peeta was. A single outlet, super small, making the best shawarmas in the world.
Right, yeah.
And scaling down in every sense, so not just operations, but our menu and everything else. But the thing is with me, I'm always thinking in parallels, right? So what I guess people kind of knew and kind of didn't know was, while we launched Peeta in October 2009, just 2 months later, another idea came to my mind.
Okay.
Which was, social media is going to impact the way we travel in a huge way.
Right.
And this is 2009, right? So, and the thought was that we will visit countries, and we will visit places that locals travel to, because we will be able to connect with locals over Twitter, over Facebook, and they'll show us their city. So
right.
So travel is going to be more personal, more deep, more meaningful, and everything tourism isn't, right? Mm-hmm. So just 2 months after we opened Peeta, so this was in December 2009. I had this idea of creating this travel series. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I remember. I mean, with Dubai One, I mean, it was picked up, right, at some point.
A couple of years later, a few years later, and the travel series was basically, we have this massive community, and what had happened was shawarma had become secondary. Our primary product or service was my brother and I, Payman,
right.
and I.
Yeah.
Right? So people were interested in what we were doing, mm-hmm. what are we doing next, and so forth. So that was the seed. Can we create a travel show with these two Arabs, wearing a kandura, traveling around the world, and just purely being driven by our social media followers in terms of where we're going, what we're eating, and all that stuff. And we had all these crazy ideas, like, what if people can tweet and they'll show up during our broadcast?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And we have no script. We just ask our Twitter followers and Facebook followers what they think we should do, who they think we should meet, and we give them some criteria, like, look, send us to really awesome places and connect us with awesome people. Mm. And so in 2009, if somebody has this sort of conversation with you, you think they're absolutely nuts, like bonkers. You're like, what the hell are you talking about? And plus, do you have any filming experience? No, we didn't.
Yeah.
So from 2009 December, we tested this idea. And I don't know if you remember, but my brother and I, we went on a trip to Sri Lanka in December 2009.
Okay.
It was during the National Day, so early 2009, December. And we basically went on Twitter and we asked our community, we want to travel to a country, but you guys decide where, and you guys show us around that country.
Okay.
And the entire process happened in one morning.
Okay.
So we posted a tweet, we got a bunch of results, replies, and we said, look, we don't want to go to a place where we need to apply for a visa because we're traveling this morning.
Right. Oh, wow. So you guys just sort of sat back and said, you're going to travel today? Insane. Okay.
So a bunch of, ideas start popping up on our thread, and somebody said Sri Lanka, and we're like, wow, that's awesome. Let's do that. Let's do Sri Lanka. So I literally left Peeta, our restaurant. Payman did as well. We just stuck stuff into our backpacks and went to the airport. And we bought tickets to the airport, and we were in Sri Lanka.
That's awesome. I've always wanted to do that. Just not plan where to go, and then just go to the airport, buy a ticket, and go. That's awesome. All right.
And when we got there, it hit us that we had no plan. We didn't know where we were going to stay.
So this was post-Civil War Sri Lanka, right? I mean,
it was.
You didn't get stuck with the Tamil tigers or anything like that.
This is way after that.
Okay, good.
So once we got there, at that time we had Blackberries, and I posted on Twitter. I'm like, okay, guys, you got us to Sri Lanka. We need a place to stay. where do you recommend? And people recommended a hotel. They recommended the Gull Face Hotel, which is like an old colonial hotel, beautiful. So we took like a tuk-tuk over there. We stayed the night. Next morning, we're like, okay, what do we do for 3 days? So pretty much our Twitter followers organized the next 3 days for us. They organized a driver for us.
Okay.
They organized our route.
It's amazing.
And we covered a quarter of Sri Lanka within 3 days.
Wow.
And we would post pictures on Twitter, and back then it was TwitPic, and we'd share all our experience with our community.
Right.
And we were kind of they were living vicariously through us.
Right.
So we were on this great adventure, and they're like witnessing it, and they're also driving it at the same time. It was amazing.
Right. Yeah.
So we would hashtag every one of those tweets with Peeta Planet.
Mm-hmm.
So Wild Peeta, Peeta
Right.
Planet, and so forth. When we got back, we were like, we need to turn this into a show. So we did what we're really good at, which is like creating presentations.
Mm-hmm.
And we got a meeting with Dubai One.
Okay.
And we went in, and I remember there were 3 people in that room when we went to Dubai One. There was an intern or a management trainee and 2 other executives. And we presented this crazy idea called Peeta Planet, and all these things about like you tweet and it shows up on TV,
Mm-hmm.
and we had some technology that could help us do that, and we had no script, and we'd visit people, awesome people in all these countries, and we had no script, and all our Twitter followers would like tell us what to do and all these different things, and we'd film the whole thing, and the entire presentation, once we were done, I kind of like was, how you're done and then you kind of like, you have this out of body experience.
Right.
And you step out and you look at everybody, including yourself. And I felt that it was a very abstract sort of a concept that we're trying to sell.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, what the hell does what I just said even mean?
Right.
Like, what are you talking about? Social media, TV, travel? Like, what tweets on TV? Like, what is that? What do you mean? Live tweeting when the show broadcast to talk about the show? Like, how does that work? Like, it's like we're throwing all these abstract things, right? And for us, we, in our mind, this concept of social TV, second screen, was clear.
Right. Well, this is before the second screen even became a thing, right?
Yeah.
What was ahead of your time, man?
So at that moment, like, they kind of looked at us and they're like, okay, let's think about it, but we don't think, we don't think it's going to happen. So, we left, and I remember, we're like, okay, let's go back to Wild Peeta. And we did Wild Peeta for a few years. But in that time, I was talking about always doing things in parallel, and I think this is a really important thing for every startup to do. Like, yes, focus on the one thing that you're doing, but don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Mm-hmm.
So do 2 or 3 things. One key thing, do 2 or 3 other things. Call it passive income.
Mm-hmm.
Call it, kind of like building some opportunities, but keep all of them going. Because
Right.
you never know how they will all intersect, and when you can actually move to the others.
Mm-hmm.
That's that's how life is, right?
Right.
You want to have options. So I remember after that, where I was like, I'm not fucking giving up. This is the future, and I will find somebody that will support us, and invest in us and help us bring this to life. And we got another meeting with 254, maybe a few months later, and this was with Noor Al-Kabi.
Right.
Okay, and she was kind enough to...
And she's a legend, right? She's a legend amongst, first on Twitter, and, she was very popular, and then she sort of became, she's more of an Emirati thinker, and, it was great that you guys got a...
She's a super smart, super switched
intelligent,
on person. Like, I really love her. She's fantastic. And she gave us the opportunity to present our concept to her team. And we did. And I remember for 2 years, we would go back and forth to Abu Dhabi, where 244 is located, to present revisions of our concept. And I remember initially, their team asked us, they're like, dudes, just do a simple travel show. Just go to the Eiffel Tower, film it, eat some freaking croissants,
And come
yeah,
back.
come back. They're gonna love it. What is this social, like all this, you know?
Just forget this Twitter stuff.
Yeah, serious stuff, you know. And I remember it was the same thing people were telling us when we were doing that social media stuff with Peeta, you know. And but it's like sometimes things are very clear in your head,
Right.
you know, and it doesn't exist yet. So I think a lot of people find it very hard to relate, you know.
Right. Yeah.
So it was very abstract. So for 2 years back and forth, and I remember those trips with my brother and I. Like we would go and then come back so disheartened, but we would probably visit Abu Dhabi once or twice a week. We racked up miles on his car like crazy.
Whoa. Okay.
And it was really like beating us up every time we'd leave and come back, and you know they'd ask us to, you know, present some more information, some more, you know, ideas and whatever. And there were so many times where I was like, God, you know, I want to give up, but I can't.
Right.
I can't. You know, I won't be able to live with myself.
Right.
If, you know, I want to make sure it's an absolute freaking no. And even then, I don't think I'd take no for an answer. So after 2 years, they're like, look, dude, here's some money. Go shoot a draft episode. And my brother and I, we shot some footage here in Dubai. We managed to use some of that money to travel to Tokyo with a small team. We shot some footage there. We came back. We were working on the edit of the episode. And by the way, my brother and I know nothing about film.
Right. Okay.
What we did know about film was what we learned from YouTube videos back then. So
Okay.
we learned how to produce, direct, edit, everything on YouTube videos.
Okay.
Like we knew nothing. And I remember we were editing in 254 the draft episode, and we get a call. And obviously, this whole journey, we've been sharing it on social media, so everybody knows what we're up to.
Right.
And we get a call, and it's from Dubai One, again.
Okay.
And an executive from Dubai One, Yara, I mentioned her name. She's like, I saw you guys are shooting a show, a travel series, and I was like, yeah, we just did a draft episode. We're editing; it's not finished yet. And she's like, can we see it? I was like, oh, yeah, when it's done, I'd love to come. We'd love to come and show you. Yeah, sure. And we finished editing it, and I remember that day where we stepped into Dubai One, into their boardroom, and a bunch of people were there, a bunch of executives, and there was Yara, and I sat down and I looked, and I saw that management trainee from the first meeting, right? And I was like, hey, Sarah, how you doing? She's like,
Remember me?
Yeah.
I'm back.
And then
What you gonna say now?
and then I'm like, so what's up? What are you doing? What are you up to? She's like, nothing much. I'm the CEO of Dubai One now.
Oh.
I was like,
Whoa.
that's amazing.
That's quite a jump.
And she's like, I'm really looking forward to seeing what you guys have done. I was like, great. So we played this video, right? This draft video, and everybody watched it, and then it finished, and I mean, we put our life into that video.
Right.
Right? To us, it was the best video in the world, right? Because we literally, when we were editing at 244, we slept on the ground of the editing room.
Okay.
Like we slept overnight. You know, I don't know if it was allowed, but we did. You know, because we really believed in this, and we just didn't want to leave it. And after it was done, they looked at us and they're like, "We'll commission a season."
Whoa.
And I was like, "What?" They're like, yeah, can you do 12 episodes? Dude, I was like, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it.
Wow.
And then when it was done, I went to Sarah and I was like, Sarah, thank you so much. You know, thank you so much. I don't even know what to say. And she said, remember that time when you guys came and you presented it the first time, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, 2 years ago? And I was like, yeah. She's like, I totally got it, and I loved it, but I was just a management trainee and I couldn't say anything.
Right. Okay.
And now...
But it's amazing that you were in a room with a person who was a management trainee, and a few years later that person became the head of the entire thing. That's just... It's like the stars aligning, man. It's amazing.
So I always tell, like, you know, startups or in life, show up.
Because you never know who's there, right?
You never know what it's going to lead to. Just fucking show up. You know? We showed up at Dubai Semi. Look what happened. We showed up at Dubai Media Incorporated. Look what happened.
That's insane. Yeah, that's great advice, man.
It's madness. It's madness. And so that was around the time where we were already winding down Wild Peeta. So there are two parallel stories happening simultaneously.
Okay.
So we managed to wind down Wild Peeta and close our final outlet exactly 2 or 3 weeks before we traveled around the world to film.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I remember I followed it on YouTube. I mean, and it was so well shot, so well documented. You and your brother have a really good dynamic on screen. It was funny, it was lighthearted, and it was really ahead of its time. I mean, it was ahead of its time. At this point, there was a lot of bloggers starting to do the travel thing, but you guys pioneered in a way that was really. I don't think anybody was doing it. I mean, this was definitely something that was very unique.
Yeah, there were basically 0 shows around the world that had tweets on their episodes.
Right.
0 shows around the world. So today, like you look at Suits and you look at all these shows and you have these tweets, you know, from people down there. You know, no, we did that first.
Well, I'm kind of surprised you never worked for Twitter. It seems like you've called Twitter's game before Twitter figured out what they need to be doing. So
man, we were too busy with our own shit. So I think Wild Peeta closing down was like, I don't know if it was an end of an era or the beginning of a new era, but I remember when that happened, and WAMDA did a big story on us, on reflecting on everything that we did, and we were quite honest in terms of everything that we did wrong and everything that we did right and things we were proud of, and that was like a huge page turned in the UAE and of people who like knew us, but it was an old page turn, and it was the beginning of a new chapter.
Well, I think that's what I was going to say. I think it might be a page turn, but you really have changed the game for Emirati nationals, for young tech or whatever, just young startups. And this was before the STEP conferences. This was before any of these things. So really the way you've approached Wild Peeta, your way you've approached Peeta Planet, I think really changed the game. And I think set some kind of foundation for the people who came after you, for sure. And I'm not just saying that, but there has to always be those first movers, and you were definitely one of those first movers who've changed the game. Because prior to 2009, 2010, I don't remember a big startup scene. I don't remember that, and I've been in this country for a long time, and I don't remember that was a thing. I remember people talking about it, like, yeah, I want to do my own thing, but I don't remember being so public and so, people talking about it, and in some ways supported by the government, supported by the people, so it was just, you started something new on all fronts, and that's why I think until today people talk about it, until today people sort of remember it and tell it in conferences and to their fellow, startup people, you know what I mean? So it's a great thing that you guys have done, man. And it led you to the stage with Matt Damon and just before Barack Obama. So, because I gotta tell that story, man. I remember my wife and I were in New York, and it was the UN Assembly Week, and we were just there on vacation, and we just thought we had the kick-ass, best week in New York, and we were there, we were leaving, we were in JFK, and I remember seeing you and your brother, and I was like, wait, hold on. Dana, I know these guys, and I went up to you, and you told me the most insane story. And I thought I had a good week, but you had a fantastic week. You were just it all had to do with Matt Damon, Barack Obama. Go. I think that needs to be told.
Well, again, it's like you never know, how things kind of like are connected, right?
Yeah.
So what happened was one of our followers, our community members from both Wild Peeta and Peeta Planet, who used to live in the UAE, who was following us and whatnot, contacted me and said, would you be interested, and your brother, to come and host a session at the Clinton Global Initiative?
Yeah.
And I was like,
that must have really. I was
like, Clinton who? They're like,
Bill.
Clinton who? And he's like, Bill and Hillary Clinton. Bill and Hillary Clinton who? The ex-president of the United States, mofo. I'm like, what? Wait,
why?
Would you call Mohammed Parham Awadhi? He's like, yes, I am speaking to you. So I was like, what? I was like, wait,
You
what?
must have been
Why?
blown away,
Yeah,
man.
I was like, why? And she's like, look, I was just, I was really like blown away about what you guys were doing with Peeta and Peeta Planet and two Emirati guys dressing Kandur, traveling around the world, doing these crazy things and, and not just crazy things, but like just very like innovative things and, always forward thinking. And I think you guys would be perfect to host a session. And at that time, it was just a session, so I didn't really understand the magnitude of this event, okay? So then I got off the phone and I went online, I looked at it, I'm like, holy crap, it is Bill and Hillary. It's
everyone,
and
really.
then we get the letter from Bill and Hillary, and you're like, we hope you can make it.
Whoa.
I was like, what?
Did you have really, was it signed by them?
Yes.
Wow.
So, I mean, when I say sign, I'm sure it was like
photocopy.
printed.
Okay, fine. But
it was addressed to me.
For the sake of this podcast, let's just say it was signed.
Yeah.
But everyone who was important who was there. So like the weight on your shoulders must have been.
Well, I didn't know it. We didn't know it then, right? So we just knew that we had to host a session, and then it started to like kind of like unravel.
Yeah.
Right? So they were like, look, one of the organizations that you're going to interview during your session is water.org. Okay? And this is it's an organization led by Gary White and Matt Damon, and Matt Damon might be there. I was like, Matt Damon who? Do you mean Matt Damon? do you mean Matt Damon? And they're like, yes, Matt Damon. I was like, oh, man. And then, obviously, there were two other amazing organizations, one from Nigeria and one from Brazil, who were doing amazing things for their respective communities. And then I found out that they're like, look, there's a huge possibility that President Obama is going to be there. I was like, President Barack Obama who? Like, the President of the United States right now. I was like, and I have to like tell you this, right? While this whole thing was happening with Peeta, the way he kind of communicated his presidency, to his audience when he was running,
right?
He really embraced social media, and we were kind of doing it at the same time as well. So his team and what he was doing really inspired me personally, and it's so weird, but I always thought at the back of my brain, at the back of my head, I was gonna meet this guy one day.
Okay.
And this was in 2009. I was like, I'm gonna meet this guy one day. And what happened was I started to meet his social media directors at these events, and so there was 1 degree of separation now between us, right? And I always thought I was gonna meet this guy someday. And now here we are almost gonna do that. Now we get to New York, so they invite us over there. We get there.
General Assembly,
right.
Crazy vibes.
Yeah. So, and I find out that our session is in like the most important day of the Clean Global Initiative, okay?
Amazing.
And I find out that there's only 1,000 people in that room, and I find out that 1,000 of the most powerful people in the world are in that room.
That's insane.
Okay, so we met Madeleine Albright, we met like governors and senators and vice presidents and prime ministers, and it was insane. And here's 2 dudes who make shawarma.
I was about to say, from shawarma to Barack Obama.
Right. So, and then Matt Damon shows up and we review like the questions, and it's fucking surreal. Like he's sitting there, we're having a chat, he's a super cool guy, chilled out, and we're speaking to Gary White, super nice guy, and and a couple of other people as well. And we're getting ready, and as we're getting ready, like Bill Clinton is like there, and he walks up and is like, hey guys, hey, thanks for coming. Really thanks for coming, and good luck. I'm like, well, thank you. And he's a super tall guy. Madeleine Albright is like passing by and she does a beeline and she like shakes our hand. I think she thought that we're like, I don't know, royalty or presidents or something. We're
ambassadors.
Like, we just make shawarmas.
That's all we do. We did
That's
the
all we
travel
do.
show.
Yeah. These are grease stains on my shirt. You know? So, and we're meeting all these crazy people. Anyway, it's
Well, you gotta say, I mean, the Emirati attire gives you like a royalty feel, so I'm sure everybody was like, these guys must be important.
So we get up on stage and we go through our session, and it was like a blast, and we just really hit it off with all of our guests. Everybody was laughing in the room. I think initially, you know, when people see two people wearing kandoras up on stage, you know, they don't know what to do, and we kind of like saw that when we traveled around the world and people saw us for the first time. They're like, you know, we should watch what we say, you know, because maybe, you know, we don't know where these guys, you know, are from and what.
We don't want to offend them. We don't want
offend them. Right, exactly. You know, and then quickly we crack a joke and we're like, dude, we're just two dudes, you know, and it doesn't matter what we're wearing, it doesn't matter where we're from, or, you know, what we believe in, or, you know, we're just two dudes having a conversation, and that's what happened on stage. That's what happened between us and that 1,000 people in that room.
Right.
And
oh man, wow.
Yeah, it was nuts. And I remember we're done with our session, and Matt Damon's on stage with Gary White and my brother, and somebody's like signaling Matt Damon, and then Matt Damon looks at us and says, I think we need to wrap it up, because that timer has been on 0 for a while now, and somebody's like saying, you know, you got to
somebody important's waiting, man.
Yeah, somebody important's waiting, and they had told us that President Obama is gonna be on right after us, right?
What an opening gig,
right,
man.
And they told us that, look, improvise, because he might be a little bit late, but when he arrives, you have to like wrap it up.
Right.
And we were so absorbed in what we were saying that we kind of lost track of it. And you know, they were telling us that President Obama is waiting to get on stage. So then we immediately wrapped it up. We get off stage and we sit into the audience, and there he is, and there's President Obama, and he gives this speech, and it was just surreal. It was surreal. And I remember sitting there and
wow.
And I look.
You blew me away, man.
I'm telling you, it was surreal. And I'm like, there he is. I'm like, he's literally just a few meters away from me, right?
Yeah.
And now you can imagine the lockdown in this room. You know, there's secret services and police, like, everywhere. Like, nobody can get in, nobody can get out. Like, that's it. And then I look, and I see a door open on the side. It's dark, and he's kind of talking, the president, and this huge entourage comes in. And somewhere in the middle is Hillary Clinton and Chelsea Clinton. And they're just walking towards, like, in my direction. I'm like, holy, I need to get out of the way, or, you know, I need to let them move. They need to get to their whatever. And I literally pick up my chair, and I move to the side, and I suddenly see Hillary and Chelsea, like, exiting this entourage and walking towards me. And I'm like I thought they want to, like, do something to somebody else, and then suddenly they're like, we loved your session. We loved your session. That was so awesome.
Jaw dropped.
Like,
whoa.
thank you, Miss President, ma'am.
Whatever.
Thank you so much for taking the time to tell me that in the middle of President Barack Obama's speech. Thank you so much. I will not forget this. And then they move on, and I'm like, this is just getting more and more surreal. And then somebody comes and sits in front of me, like in a beautiful red women's suit, a woman. And so a friend of mine who was there was like pointing at her. I was like, what? He was like pointing at her. And then later I found out that was Suzanne Rice.
Oh wow. Okay.
Okay. I think the Secretary of Defense, if I'm not mistaken.
Susan Rice is I think the UN representative of, while Obama was president. I think she was the UN representative. Anyway.
So she was there. So like this whole thing is so meta. You know, I'm like what the hell? Anyway, the president's done, and he comes down, and everybody's like just like all over him, and you know, wanting to shake his hand, and my friend was like, go and say hi to him. I was like, I just feel weird. I don't want to be a fanboy, and you know, it's good to just be here with him. You know,
right.
I don't want to do that thing. You know, like I don't want to take a photo with him or whatever. So she's like, just go. And while she's telling me this, he's like literally 1 meter away from me. You know, and I'm like, look,
do it, go for it.
I'm just content. I'm happy to be here.
You shook the hands of the sitting president.
I realized while I was having this conversation, kept looking at me. He kept eyeing me, and he's like, everybody's like, and he kept eyeing me. And then suddenly he's like, hey. And I was like, hi. And he's like, you guys were on with Matt Damon. I was like, yes. He's like, I saw that. That was really good. I was like, thank you, Mr. President. I was like, thank you so much. I really appreciate
what
that.
Just happened?
What happened? And then my friend took a picture of that, and and it was surreal. Dude.
I mean, let's just like look at this, right? A sitting, look, okay, so you are in New York. You're wearing your kandura, your ghatra, all that good stuff. A sitting president of the United States comes up to you after your talk, shakes your hand, and says, I saw your talk with Matt Damon.
Yeah.
Like,
so he didn't like do a
whoa.
he didn't do a beeline to me, but he was shaking everybody's hand. I was like about a meter away from him, and he kept looking at me, and then he said that. He turned to me, he's like, but I mean, you don't have to do that. You know what I mean?
Still
like,
though, I mean,
but
from shawarma to Matt Damon, Barack Obama, dude, man, that's amazing.
So it was like, I mean, it just got more and more meta after that. And I remember like we were done now, and all these governors of Louisiana and all were coming up to us, and they're like, can you tell us more about what you're wearing? And we'd like explain like what this is and what that is, and like why do you wear this thing? I said like curved, crooked. And I was like, it's called a gatra. And the reason I wear it crooked is because I'm a Frank Sinatra fan, and he likes to cock his hat, and I like to cock mine. And they'd laugh, and So we were out.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, it was
amazing.
done, and we were outside, and I remember like it just got like crazier and crazier. So Reverend Jesse Jackson,
Whoa.
like I was standing there, and somebody like tapped me on the shoulder. I was like, Reverend Jesse Jackson, and he's like, I loved your session. It was fantastic. I was like, can we have a picture with you?
I don't know what you just said. We just selfie for me.
And a bunch of other people, Mohammed Yunus, the inventor of microfinancing.
Okay.
So we saw him, and he's like, oh, it's a great talk, and that was fantastic.
Man, it's like you telling me this story. Honestly, I'm like living vicariously through this story. It's like one of my goals in life to be in that setting, and just I don't know, man. It feels amazing. It just feels that such an accomplishment to be there. You know what I mean? That it's just. Regardless of what you think of the individuals who are around you or what your affiliations are politically or whatever it just is like you're there representing in some way Arabs, in some way Emiratis, and you're just rubbing shoulders with these people who are important, who've done things in this world, movers and shakers and decision makers, and you're there with them, and you've just paneled this amazing talk about sustainable cities and water with this celebrity, and it's amazing, man. And I think honestly, hats off to you, or ghatra off to you for doing that, and I'm sure you and your brother loved it. And I remember sitting there in JFK and you guys telling us the story, and I remember Dan and I sitting, and I was like, wow, I knew these guys, when they just started Wild Peeta, and look, they just had this amazing experience, and honestly, man, it's fantastic. And now you telling me the story like again, wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, like when you see these people, on TV or the news. I mean, Reverend Jesse Jackson, was there with Martin Luther King.
Right.
And Mohammed Yunus. I mean, he is just like, there's not anybody who doesn't know who that guy is. And even like Jerry Adams, who is part of Sinn Féin in Ireland, he came up to us and he's like, that was really a fantastic session, And like you said, it doesn't matter, where they hail from or what their beliefs, but at that moment in time, we all kind of connected on something.
Yeah.
And it was all about, how can we do more to help the communities around us?
Absolutely.
So, but I mean, I can just go on and on. It's like, it's ridiculous. I mean, even at that same event, His Excellency Mohammed al-Gargawi happened to be there.
Amazing.
Okay? And Sonny Varkey happened to be there as well, right? So he operates the largest educational institution in the world, right? right?
And for people who don't know, Al-Gagawi is he's the
he's the minister of the future.
Minister of the Future, right? Okay.
Right. So he was there, you know, and.
And was he that back then? Was that his post back then, or
it was not his post. So he does multiple things,
right?
Whether it's related to Dubai Holdings or whether it's related to the Prime Minister's office of Dubai,
right?
Or the executive office. So he is just an amazing person, and he happened to be in the audience as well.
Right.
We didn't know that.
That's awesome, man.
And he came up to us. He's like, I thought I saw a couple of guys wearing Emirati kamdura. Like, what? That was amazing. And I remember that.
He spotted you from afar. He's like, those are my guys.
Yeah, and he was sitting in the crowd. He was like, that was just fantastic what you guys did. And he put our story in the newspapers here in the UAE, and he's like, I want to speak to you guys when you guys get back. There's a project, you know, I want you guys to be a part of. And that meeting led to us being consultants on the Arab Social Media Influencers Summit.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, which was the largest gathering of Arab social media influencers in the world.
And that's an initiative led by the UAE. I mean,
by the Dubai government.
Yeah.
So by the executive office and the prime minister's office and so forth. So man, to tell like our listeners that everything in life is connected. And really,
dude, man.
Show up. You know, and
learn
to see these connections. You know, learn to appreciate these connections, because sometimes they come out of left field, but there's a reason for that. Like, there's a reason for us meeting. There's a reason for us bumping into each other at the airport. There's a reason for us sitting here doing this podcast, and we may not know it yet, but we will one day.
Man, that's absolutely amazing. You know, and one thing I want to, I know we've been going on, I just want to see our timer here. Yeah, I think we're going to have to start wrapping it up. But I think what I love about this is that it's such a coherent, connected story, you know, that started off from an idea and evolved to this amazing story that ended up in you being in New York, meeting a sitting president. And I think that's fantastic. And one other thing that I'd like to highlight is I love how the Emirati government supports its people. And I think that's something that's really, truly needs to be recognized. You know, the Dubai SME office that supported you guys in developing Wild Peeta. And it's sort of like it came full circle when you sat on the summit and the social media summit. You know, from you just pitching an idea to you sort of like giving organizational advice to how the summit should run. I mean, it's quite phenomenal.
I mean, that was fantastic. So it kind of like, it was a combination of everything, every experience that we've been through. So we took everything that we learned from Wild Peeta, everything that we learned from Peeta Planet, and that was the Arab Social Media Influencers Summit. You know, so it prepared us. So you're right. I think all these organizations, but more important, the people who run them. So whether it was Abdul Basit Janahi and Manoj Nakra, whether it was Sara from Dubai One, whether it's Noor Al Kabi from 2454 or Mohammed Al Gagawi, you know,
it's amazing, man.
It's those people.
It's all connected.
Who see something in you, you know. Who don't judge you, who look at you and they're like, you know, there's something special here, and I'm going to open up an opportunity for you, and now it's up to you to make it work. It's those people.
It's absolutely
really
amazing.
Appreciate.
Dude, this has been an amazing discussion. Honestly, amazing. I love your story. I could tell it 10 times over.
I'm just getting started.
Well, yeah, so what's next for you? I mean, before we wrap it up, what's next for you, man?
Well, at the moment, I run my own consultancy.
Okay.
So it's, I guess it's something like what an Arthur Anderson would do. So I specialize in innovation and communication, so bring innovation to your organization in any sense, whether it's in HR or sales or marketing or communication. certification or whatever that is. And within that, I help government entities in the UAE build loyal social movements through
Amazing.
powerful storytelling.
Awesome.
So my company is called Qissa, and I've worked on some amazing projects from #MyDubai.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
To Sharjah Scene with the Sharjah Chamber.
Amazing.
To a few other projects that I can't talk about.
No problem. We'll have you on the podcast again.
so that's doing really well, and it's taking up a lot of my time. And you know, my philosophy of doing things in parallel, you know, I firmly believe that. So I'm also building an app, which I'm going to launch at the end of the year with my partner. And this app is basically a content management system.
Okay.
So this allows you to manage content teams of any size, anywhere in the world. Okay, and it gives you all the tools to manage their work, to find people, to pay them, and this whole thing.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Amazing. Dude, I mean, we could go on for a while, but the limitations of my GoPro and my limitations of my, you know, that's going to have to make us stop. But I really enjoyed this, man. I really did. It was fantastic.
It was great to take this walk down memory lane.
Yeah. And, you know, I'd love to have you back. Perhaps now, for the next one, we'll talk about the future. And, you asked me about the painting, by the way.
Yeah, what's the story?
That's
I know you're into burgers, so.
So my wife painted this when for my first birthday when we were just together, and that's James Hetfield from Metallica.
Is it? I see.
And he's eating a burger. So my two favorite things, you know, although he should have had a shawarma in this hand, but you can't see it. So
he just ate the shawarma.
He just ate the shawarma, and he's going for the second round.
Got it.
And and it's my birthday today, so I'm happy that we had this podcast on my birthday today.
It's a special day